Skyrim. Skyrim on the Switch. Skyrim on a pregnancy test. Skyrim on the Fallout 3 Pip-Boy. None come remotely close to the experience that you experience while playing Skyrim in the VR. Sure, Skyrim VR is nothing graphically amazing. If anything, it's worse than Skyrim on the Switch. But the greatness of a game is determined by 4 factors: gameplay, story, graphics, and experience. Gameplay and experience-wise, Skyrim VR is the best game I've ever played. Can you beat Skyrim in VR? After basing my character after a certain politician, who I didn't like, I turned around to see what you normally aren't supposed to see, and mentally prepared myself for the next 10 hours I was about to spend in this game. After watching a Stormcloak get executed, I hit the Gritty, an ancient ritual used to escort lost souls to the Sovereign Guard known as Tsun, and arrived at the chopping block. I played with the Executioner's feet. He didn't like that, and tried to kill me. Alden saved the day as usual, and I kept my eye on the Executioner. He somehow dies when Alden shows up, and I was determined to find out how. My medical analysis led me to believe that the cause of death was a heart attack. After petting the biggest bird, I entered the keep with Hadvar, had my binds cut loose, and equipped my first weapon. I grabbed a bucket that will later be used at a certain tea party. Before attacking the Stormcloak soldiers located in the next room over, I double-checked to make sure my game was set to Legendary. Legendary is the only way to play Skyrim VR, as you can get stupid overpowered stupid quick. With the soldiers dead, I grab an item that essentially gives me immortality: the shield. Unlike Skyrim, where you bash the shield and need to wait until your stamina regenerates to bash again, you can bash infinitely in Skyrim VR. I pick up a tankard to flip it. I was able to land it on my first try. Hadvar and I head down to the next room to clear out the Stormcloak soldiers, and then help the torturer with the soldiers bothering him. I reach my hand through the cage to pick up any valuables. I wasn't planning on using too much magic, since Legendary difficulty makes spells, except healing, basically worthless to cast. After winning a staring contest, Hadvar, the Executioner's assistant, and I tag-teamed the Stormcloak soldiers that were in the basement. That wasn't 100% true. There were 3 of us and only 2 of them. Not exactly the most fair tag team. With the first wave of soldiers dead, we press onward towards the archers. Before I forget to mention, this is my character's name. I needed to be careful here. A stray arrow could very much hurt my fragile character. Fortunately in Skyrim VR you have more maneuverability, and can dodge the arrows with much more precision. With the archers at the end of the hallway dead, I pick up a second object, which would be of great use to me. As you will find out shortly, I am a master archer. The assistant said that he needed to stay back to help the torturer, and that got me thinking, what happens if you go back for the torturer? I had to find out. Apparently nothing. I didn't know what I expected honestly. With the drawbridge down, and a few frostbite spiders killed, I put that master archer skill to the test to see if I still had it in me. The last time I played Skyrim VR was November 29th, and that was to achieve the Platinum Trophy. With a few arrows in the bear, I ran away to find Hadvar to help me. Upon returning, I noticed that the bear went back to sleep like nothing happened. I tried to see if you can fire the PSVR Move controller as an arrow, but we can't all have good things. With the bear dead, Hadvar and I exit the keep, and I make my way to Riverwood. I noticed over yonder, a glimpse of a past life. Fiendl will get what's coming to him, mark my words. It was now that I decided something. If I was to Skyrim VR, then I am going to Skyrim VR as good as a person can possibly Skyrim VR. At Dawnstar, the city not the game, a cat caravan appears, but only every 7th leap year, when the sun turns green, and only when you brush your teeth that morning. I was going to use the infinite enchantment glitch, to enchant my gear as much as I could, to give me the upper hand in any combat scenario. It's simple, really. Reach your hand through the ground, pick up enchanted items, unenchanted items, and filled soul gems, unenchant the enchanted items, and enchant the unenchanted items. I said enchant more than I was planning to say. When all of that is said and done, quick save, bonk the cat over the head, and there you go. Her inventory resets, and you can repeat the process until your enchanting skill is at level 100. I was curious to find out where specifically the chest was located. I stuck my head in the ground, and found out. After 20 minutes of repeating the same process over and over again, I got incredibly bored, and decided that my enchanting was good enough. After enchanting myself some gear, I headed towards Whiterun to get the main quest started. At Whiterun, I smooth-talked my way into the city, and spoke to the Jarl about the dragon threat. I became restless. I don't remember Balgruuf ever taking this long to tell me to go to Farengar, and I messed around with the physics. I tried to create a masterpiece, which sadly did not work. Farengar then tasked me with getting the Dragon Stone. This was it. The moment of truth. Time to see how I'll fare against a dungeon at level 7, on Legendary. The 3 bandits at the entrance didn't stand a chance against me and my shield. Inside the barrow, I put my Master Archer skills to the test. Nice. I decided to let the bandit outlaw die to the trap, and finish what he started. With 2 skeevers dead, I try to finish the last one, but it flew away. With the spider and Arvel dead, I retrieved the golden claw. Nothing else important happened. I made it to the Overlord with relative ease. I stored the Dragonstone in the cloud, and returned to Whiterun, to find out that a dragon was attacking the Western Watchtower. Dragon attacks in VR make you think tactically and strategically, and are terrifying. After discovering that if you throw an item into the air and jump under it, it bounces, I take cover as I snipe the dragon with my bow. With 2 Whiterun guards charging into the fray, I heal my wounds and return to cover. This fight took only 12 minutes, but felt like 12 hours. I shoot a final arrow through the dragon and absorb its soul. Back in Whiterun, the Greybeard summoned me just as I'm getting drafted into the local vampire war, and I spoke to Balgruuf about me being Dragonborn. I stole a horse and made it to High Hrothgar. After demonstrating my shout, I got frightened after seeing some ghosts, flew through space and time, and was tasked with retrieving the horn of someone. The AI text-to-speech can't register when I input his name, and freezes for a good while, but you know who I'm talking about. At Ustengrave, I run past everything since I was already 4 hours into gameplay, and I expected to finish the game in 10 hours. I started recording on Wednesday and expected to finish on Friday. I was recording this part early Saturday morning. With Delphine's note in my pocket, I get ambushed by 2 cultists. The first one was a bit of a challenge, since I was fighting him by myself. The second was a lot easier. Half of Riverwood and a few guards destroyed him. He never stood a chance. After meeting with Delphine, I tell Lydia to wait in the inn room. I started bringing her along after the dragon attack, since a companion in legendary difficulty really helps lighten the load. Remember that I told her to wait in this room. It'll be important later. After making a mess on Delphine's table, I wait for her to unlock the basement door, and do a full 180. More time. Using the bucket I picked up in Helgen, I enter the courtyard, and make it to the important building. The guards die, I pick up the quest items, enter the basement, pick up Hesburn's dossier, and save the Jolly Rancher being held captive by the Frost Troll. In and out in 5 minutes. Back in Delphine's basement, I decide to help her kill the dragon in Kynesgrove. In theory, since the quest marker that gave me the green light to talk to Delphine about Esbern popped up, I could just decide to get Esbern and skip the whole dragon fight. But I paid for the whole game, and I'm gonna play the whole game. After walking by yet another glimpse of a past life, I fast travel to Windhelm and make it to Kynesgrove. After Alduin gave birth to a dragon from the dead, I take cover, and regret my decision to fight the dragon. I was completely unprepared. I wasn't about to back out now. I started this fight and was determined to finish it. 21 minutes. That is how long it took me to kill the dragon. With a combination of a Storm Atronach scroll, my trusty bow, and a shout to stun the dragon, I did it. I finally killed the dragon. After drinking another soul, Delphine tells me to infiltrate the Thalmor embassy. She, for whatever stupid cosmic reason, still believes that the Thalmor are behind the return of the dragons, even though we watched Alduin bring one back from the dead. Biggest plot hole in a video game ever. This is why I usually opt out of the second dragon fight and completely skip it. I was pretty much done with listening to Delphine's incessant rambling. And I wasn't about to spend half an hour in a VR sewer trying to find Esbern. I would rather beat Doom VR with only a pistol than do either. I needed something else to occupy my time, and I remembered the perfect thing. It was time to get the Elder Scroll. You can retrieve the Elder Scroll whenever you want, all you need is a lexicon. Off to Septimus I went. With the lexicon in my possession, I get ambushed by a pack of wolves. I took in the beauty of Skyrim, and ran into a witch and a flame Atronach. I ran off, since I wasn't strong enough to take on the Atronach. I was able to kill the witch with my bow, and had an idea. Could I snipe the Atronach from the distance I was at? Here is the unedited footage for you to watch, to prove that I didn't reload any saves to get this shot. With my title as Master Archer secured, I bucket myself into Alfden to skip the Dwarven Ruin part, and pick the Master Lock to make it to the two warriors. This was where I was going to obtain an item that will drastically increase my life expectancy. With Imanya now a fresh corpse on the ground, I pick up the Targe of the Blooded. A shield that does 3 points of bleeding damage for 5 seconds. And with the amount of times I was bashing enemies with my shield, because of the infinite bash glitch, I was able to deal a substantial amount of damage to my enemies. With Sulla, also a fresh corpse on the floor, I enter Blackreach. I decide to pull a little prank. What if I summoned a dragon? I found that prank to be pretty comical in the moment, but when it actually happened, I ran for my life. I placed the lexicon on the pedestal, pressed some buttons, and got me my very own sealed copy of the Elder Scrolls 3 Game of the Year edition. If there ever was a time to rescue Esbern, that time was now. Down in the sewers, I ignore all of the vagrants, and lure one into the Ragged Flagon. It was glorious. The entire Thieves Guild absolutely destroyed John the Fist. I ignored the Thalmor agents, and headed straight towards Esbern. I got bored when he was unlocking his door, so I decided to find out for myself, was he really unlocking his door? I phase my head through solid matter, and expose Esbern for the fraud he is. He wasn't unlocking the door. He was standing in place. I told Esbern that I was Dragonborn, referenced a top-tier meme that peaked in October, and headed out with Esbern. I executed a Thalmor wizard, and killed a soldier. Once we left the Ratway, we returned to Riverwood, and I saw Fiendl's ugly face. I couldn't stand him anymore, and decided the perfect way to get revenge. I was going to ruin his reputation. After ruining Fiendl's life, I tried to recruit Sven to be my companion, but couldn't for some reason. Remember when I told you that Lydia's waiting in the inn room in Delphine's Inn? Well, I forgot about that, and traveled to Dragon's Reach to hopefully find her. I was at a loss. I even searched up online where I could find her, but to no avail. I decided to continue on with the main story. With the Forsworn at the entrance ignored, I pick up what I can only describe as an unusual toothpick, and clear out the rest of the Forsworn inside the cave. With the blood seal activated, I put my VR headset down, and walk away to do something else. Once Esbern stopped talking, I remembered where I left Lydia, and went to dismiss her. I took the Axe of Whiterun from her to give to Sven. I became over-encumbered, so I dropped it, and carried it with my hand. With Sven as my new best friend, I go up to the Greybeards to return the Horn of the Wind Man, listen to the rambling of a clan of schizos, learn the Clear Skies shout, and made my way over to Parthurnax. I learned the Fire Breath shout, and since I had retrieved the Elder Scroll prior to meeting Parthurnax, I didn't have to do any backtracking. I read the scroll upside down at the Wounded Clock, and learned Dragon Rend, from the Upside Down heroes. Alduin showed up to my 10th birthday party, and watched me receive my Pip-Boy. The fight went surprisingly easy. The only thing that I was worried would happen is Alduin would use his bite attack. There was no way for me to effectively block it. I could block his breath attacks however. Alduin barely used his bite attack, so my worrying was for nothing. My strategy was block, hit, Dragon Rend, repeat. When Alduin was defeated, I asked Mr. Jarl if we could capture a dragon in his abode. He said the same thing the substitute teacher in my history class said when I asked if I could play chess with my friend Marcus. No. Greybeard's Ulfric Tullius Peace Council. I made sure that nobody had a tankard but me, and we started the council. I dropped my tankard on the floor, which soured my day, and strongly considered reloading a save to get my tankard back. I resisted my primal urges, and sat through the council without reloading a save. With one side unhappy with the terms, I decided that I needed to accomplish something before heading to Skulldeath. Last video I beat Skyrim and Dawnguard. I needed to do something that would top that, and had the best idea ever. I was going to kill Karstag on legendary difficulty. I neglected to mention that before the Peace Council, I enchanted my weapon, and named it as appropriately as I could think. 2 points in fire damage, while not being a lot, is better than 0 points of fire damage. I headed over to Solstheim with Sven, and realized what I was getting myself into when I faced a Rickling. Morrowind's Blood Moon DLC trained me for this moment. The Rickling was hard to beat, but I came out the victor. I came across Thirsk Mead Hall, and checked behind to see if I could find the ebony arrows of instant death. In Morrowind's Blood Moon DLC, behind Thirsk, is a tree stump with 2 gloves, a note, a sword, a ring, and 5 ebony arrows of instant death. The tree stump, unfortunately, but understandably, wasn't there. Inside the cave where Karstag's skull is located, I snatch the skull, and whirlwind sprint myself out of there. I kill a unique mud crab, and pick up Meridia's beacon. Dawnbreaker is my favorite weapon, and I was excited to do this quest with Sven, but not before killing Karstag first. Have you ever heard of the phrase aim for the moon? If you miss, at least you'll hit a star? Well, in my case, I aimed for the moon and hit the Twin Towers. I wanted to see if I could find Karstag's castle without a map marker, because 1, I was pretty sure I knew where it was located, and 2, if I were to somehow miss it, then maybe I could come across something cool. The second didn't happen. Just about the opposite did. I stumbled right into a Reekling fortress. I looked it up online, and apparently Karstag's castle is more inland than I remembered. I run away as fast as I can, and, oh look! Here comes a second plane. I run into a pack of werebears. I tried to Fusro one off a cliff, which unfortunately didn't work. I had the werebears and Reeklings fight each other, to see who would come out the victor. Unsurprisingly, the Reeklings won. The strategy for clearing out the castle was simple. Sven would take the hits while I take out the Reeklings one at a time. With both Reeklings dead, it was time to face the Hog Rider. A combination of bashing, hitting, and Sven was enough to take out the Reekling. Feeling accomplished, I took a moment to register what we're about to do. We were going to kill Karstag on legendary difficulty. At least that's what we thought. Karstag sent Sven flying, and I couldn't even get a hit in because of his frost cloak. Whenever I would get close to him, I would always die within a few seconds. I tried using my bow, but I obviously didn't have the amount of arrows needed to take him down. Defeated, Sven and I noticed a cave. We decided to enter it. There were more Reeklings in that cave than there were in the fortress, but we decided that if we couldn't kill Karstag, then this would suffice. With the first Reekling in this grand onslaught dead, I Fusro a Reekling warrior, and watch him plummet to his death. We cross a bridge and survey the battlefield. After crossing a second bridge, we get ambushed. With another kill to my name, I help out Sven with the Reekling he's dealing with. On the next floor, I dodge a spear so perfectly, that Neo from the Matrix would be jealous. I executed the Reekling who threw the spear, and with Sven dealing with the second Reekling, I Fusro a sniper, so that I wouldn't die while helping out Sven. Another Reekling down for the count. Sven and I couldn't cross the bridge. There were Reeklings from both the left and the right sniping us. An attempt at crossing the bridge was a guaranteed suicide, since 3 spears were enough to kill me on legendary. Instead we sniped them from cover. I tried using the Reekling spears as arrows, but couldn't get the hang of them. The first time I've ever used them in my 200 hours of Skyrim VR was 15 minutes ago against Karstag. I switched back to regular arrows, and was able to deal some decent damage. A Reekling scout started charging us down the bridge. This was worrisome, since it was nearly impossible to fight this thing while dodging arrows left and right. I almost died here if not for a level up that I saved. I take the Savage Strike perk, which will be useful against a certain someone at the end of this challenge, and kill the scout. With the scout dead, I head back to cover to snipe the Reeklings. Sven had decided to charge the bridge. I became his covering fire. I ran across the bridge to help my comrade, and we each ended a Reekling. With the snipers down, we advance. Sven took the lead on this assault, and I Fusro'd the Reeklings. I ran back to heal myself, and left Sven in the midst of the fight. With my wounds healed, we defeat a Reekling, and cross the bridge to make our final assault. With the Reeklings stunned, I single-handedly take both of them out, dodge yet another spear, and notice the body of Sven? I didn't know what to say. I wasn't about to reload a save since it wouldn't be immersive if your companion would never die. I was devastated. After all we had been through. In Skyrim, if your companion died, that would just be a minor inconvenience. In Skyrim VR, if your companion died, it would be a borderline disturbing moment. You've seen them, you've spoken with them. You know how tall they are compared to you. You've both come up with strategical plans to assault your enemies. I was thinking about leaving the cave. I didn't think I could finish this without Sven. No. I needed to finish this for him. I Fusro a Reekling so hard, it clips into a wall, and I kill it. I backtrack a bit since there were a few Reeklings that I missed, and killed one of them in a way that no cinematic kill cam could ever replicate. With the 100th Reekling in this cave dead, I charge the Reekling in the room with the fire pit, and end his life too. With the scout at the end of the hallway dead, I come across the body of Krish, the only Reekling I didn't hate, and return to the body of Sven. I pick up his ring to bring to his mother, to show her that Sven didn't make it. With a salute to the fallen, I kill the last Reekling in Castle Karstag, and return to Riverwood. In case you're wondering, Sven's mother doesn't have any unique dialogue if Sven dies. I leave Sven's ring on Hilda's chair, and summon Odahving. With the dragon trapped, We fly to Skuldolfin. I ignore everything on the way, and Fusro da Draugr off of a ledge. I bashed the dragon priest with my shield to stun it so I'd have enough time to jump in the portal, and made it to Sovngarde. I acknowledged the beauty of Skyrim, and fought soon. I used the fire breath shout and infinite bash glitch to easily destroy him. With Tsun backed into a corner, I gained entrance to the Hall of Valor, and clear the skies to fight Ul'din. I decided to use the 3 heroes to tank Alduin's hits while I attacked him. I used the same strategy as I did when I first fought him, and it seemed to be working just as well as it was the first time. That was until I quick-saved in a terrible spot. I quick-saved right when Alduin was using his fire breath, and I was below 25% health. I tried healing potions, running away, using the whirlwind sprint shout, but none of that worked. I remembered that somewhere during this playthrough, I picked up a perk that allows my shield to block 50% of all magic. I used that perk, plus a healing potion, equipped the healing spell, and whirlwind sprinted myself out of there. I then used my Berserker Rage power, which allowed me to deal double damage and take half as much damage for a minute, and with a sliver of my health left, I healed myself, and got myself out of this predicament. I used the fire breath shout to finish off Alduin, watched him explode like the improvised explosive I found behind a Dollar General, and got sent back to the hit video game called Skyrim 5. But my work wasn't finished. There was one more thing that needed to be done. One home intrusion later, Fiendl got the big die. It was here where I vowed that in every Skyrim playthrough, Fiendl will have to die. Back at the body of a brother, I dropped most of my items, and beat Skyrim, in VR.
Tremble, mortals, and despair. Doom has come to this world.